Hello comic book world, this is Earl Grey and today it's ape time on Panellogy, because I want to show you the recent Planet of the Apes runs from Boom Studios. There have been other Planet of the Apes comics before by Marvel and so on, but I didn't read them. I have read the Planet of the Apes comics by Boom. So I built 3 stacks. For good reason, because each of the stacks covers a distinct time period in the Planet of the Apes timeline. The timeline here starts at 1972, when the astronaut Taylor and his crew left Earth. That's from the first Planet of the Apes movie with Charlton Heston as Taylor, and they arrived in 3977, 2 years before the end of the world. As you all should know, 3979, it's the end of the world, no denying. But fortunately we all have a little time left, and for Boom Studios especially, it's very fortunate that they have so much time between these poles to cover and to develop their own stories. And that's especially true for the Planet of the Apes series Volume 1 to 5. That covers a time span of about 1,300 years before World's End. And that's this run here. Planet of the Apes 1, Planet of the Apes 2, 3, 4, 5. And the first 4 were written by, all of the 5 were written by Daryl Gregory, but the artist Carlos Magno drew only the first 4 of them. So to Carlos Magno, he is a guy who draws fantastic monkeys. That's nice too. We have a map of the city-state of Mug, where all the story plays in the 5 traits here. And he draws very nice apes, even though sometimes it's a bit obvious that he uses photos as a help. So, and some pictures like this one or others, I almost see the photo behind the drawing. But maybe I'm wrong. Could be. I don't think so. Maybe it's you can say, okay, he uses photos as an help. So why? What he's talking about, no problem. And you're certainly right, he certainly draws wonderful atmospheric panels like this gorilla, this white gorilla in prison, for an example. The characters in this comic are real characters. They're clearly distinguishable from each other. You always know which monkey you're looking at, and there are lots of characters in the human part of town too, and it's a huge plot with a huge cast of characters, and they're all the interplay between them is great, and that's very clever writing. And they are creating this medieval world with some remnants of the ancient, gone human world, like this bombs. And social conflicts, racial problems, not only between apes and humans, but between gorillas, orangutans and chimpanzees too, like in the movies. But it's played out here to full effect. Oh, yeah. Let's leave it with this gorilla on a horse. Played out in full effect in Trade 3. Was it? Because in this world the humans are the outlaws. Like in our world, not all humans are equal. Some humans are more equal, to quote Animal Farm. And they defend themselves not always with very proper means. And so we have our own 9/11 situation here. Wait. Humans are shanghaiing an airship, and there's this airship shanghaied by humans, and there's the city tree in the monkey town. It's the capital of the monkey town, and it's not one tower, but it's actually there's a bit smaller second tower, twin towers, so you can guess what's happening next. Yeah, 9/11 on the Planet of the Apes. One of the many wow moments in the story, where plotting and art fits perfectly together. So I can highly recommend this series. All 10 out of 10 books, I think, with one exception, and that's the last trade. It's very rushed. Not Carlos Magno drew this, it was Diego Barreto, and he's the weakest of all Boom Studio Planet of the Apes artists. Not really bad, as you can see it here, but a bit slicker, and the atmosphere that was delivered by Carlos Magno to such a perfect degree is lost, just for me maybe. Crazy ideas, nevertheless, like this shaven gorilla who wants to be more human in this way. But the story is rushed, and it literally goes out with a bang, because it feels a bit just to put an end to the story, and that's disappointing. Not very satisfied with this one, but overall great series, very recommended. That's the time span we just covered, and we are taking a jump in time now of 1,300 years to 3942. That's when Betrayal of the Planet of the Apes starts, and we're getting closer to the day when the astronaut Taylor, lands on the Earth, and therefore we have already some characters of the movie, like Dr. Zeus, who gets a very prominent role in this trade, Betrayal of the Planet of the Apes. And as Ed Brubaker puts it in his introduction, it's pretty much Dr. Zeus year one. And this book, this trade, especially Betrayal of the Planet of the Apes, would be my recommendation for those of you who didn't want to buy those 5 trades here, or 4 trades if you want to leave out the last one. For those of you who want just to try just one trade, then maybe the Betrayal of the Planet of the Apes is your best choice, because this trade is very a standalone book, pretty much. It ties in with books before, and especially with the books thereafter, but it would be a nice read just on its own, I think. So, Betrayal of the Planet of the Apes is written by Corinna Bechko and Gabriele Hartmann. This team wrote the 3rd stack here, Planet of the Apes Cataclysm 2. So the story is connects and ties in very well together, naturally. And the art here is by Gabriele Hartmann. That's a plus for the Betrayal of the Apes 2, because, as I said it, they're all great ape draftsmen here, ape artists, but Gabriele Hartmann has this ability of drawing each ape a bit other than the others, and they're all recognizable, more recognizable than with other artists. Especially when it comes to orang-utans, it's sometimes a bit tough or difficult to say if it's Dr. Zeus or one of his colleagues. A very powerful, engrossing read, this whole book. And if you're not a Planet of the Apes fan after reading this book, I don't know. Clearly 10 out of 10. Exile on the Planet of the Apes, the continuation of the storyline of Betrayal, falls a bit flat in comparison. It picks up some threads of Betrayal of the Planet of the Apes, and it's a great book anyway, but start with Betrayal and then go further. My advice. So now back to the timeline. And Cataclysm, the 3 volumes that have been put out, starts with the destruction of the moon by... you will see who did this. And it's more of the stuff that started in Betrayal of the Planet of the Apes. First, let me show you the covers of the trades. That's Cataclysm 1, 2, Destruction of the Moon, and 3. And it's drawn by Damian Cucciero, who has a bit cleaner style, a bit more cartoony. The lines are more ligne claire, if I may say so. It's more a cleaner, cartoony style, and the story is using all the elements of the Planet of the Apes movies to full effect, and it's very satisfying and engrossing and surprising read. The plot has many twists and turns, and again we have this giant cast of characters with different agendas and political scenarios of this ape world. Just if I have to criticize one point in the whole story, it would be the part of the monks, this religious cult, and their abilities of telekinese and mind reading, because I think there's no natural basis for these abilities. All the other stuff that happens in this series can be explained by natural laws of evolution, of how our DNA functions, of how our cells are working, and so on. It's according to natural laws, but I don't see any possibility that there could be ever a being with telekinetic abilities, and more so form-changing abilities, like we see it in Cataclysm 2 in one point. That's a bit ridiculous, and I ranted a lot until I saw that there's a movie beneath the Planet of the Apes. It must be the second one movie that absolutely slipped through my fingers that I've never saw it. And in this movie there are exactly these monks with bald heads, hairless heads, and these abilities. And so, yeah, the comics are just reproducing and using tropes that have been developed in the movie before. So, kudos to the comics. They didn't nothing wrong, but yeah, I guess I just have to see this movie too. So, thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.